everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Client Service Conversations. I'm Barry Sutherland with Henderson Engineers, and joining me today is my lovely co-host Donna Corlew with C-Connect. And today we are sitting down and talking with Jennifer Graham. Jennifer is Regional Marketing Manager for the Midwest region with FGM Architects. Jennifer sits in Wheaton, Illinois, and she's a longtime SMPS member. And actually reached out to us as we started doing these client service conversations, and wanted to share some insights that she brings from kind of outside the industry, which Donna and I really thought would be valuable to those of you that are tuning in. So welcome, Jennifer, and thanks for joining us.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
So let's jump right in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your path to FGM and the tale that we all have of how we got to where we're at today?
Sure. So I probably didn't take the regular path that most AEC people in the world would take, but I started out in the airline industry working in passenger service for Swiss Air. And I worked my way through college and worked up to a sales position role. And after many years of doing that, I wanted to make sure that I was using my college degree. And I switched over to the food service industry, where I worked for Sara Lee for many years. Started out in customer service, where I had learned a lot about the firm itself, and then worked my way up into a marketing position. And after that, after several years, I took a little time off to be with our children. And one day my husband said to me, "Hey, how would you like to come to work for me?" So I worked for him in a marketing and business development role in his firm, which was a landscape architecture, ecology, and planning firm in Wheaton called Planning Resources. So after that, we sold our firm, and after many, many years, it was probably 20 for him, actually 25, but we did that, and I thought I would just try to hit the trifecta. And I worked for an architectural firm, an engineering firm, and a construction firm.
Well, Jennifer, you're not alone, because when I moved to Henderson 8 months ago, I have now completed the trifecta as well. So,
have you? No, it's good. It's a good way to be a little more well-rounded, or what I like to think is well-rounded.
Absolutely.
So you've mentioned your experience with a client service culture at Sara Lee, and I think it's interesting, to explore how the how the culture there was ingrained with client service, because we tend to think of Sara Lee as more of a product, whereas AEC is really a service. And so I'm kind of interested to hear how you experienced that client service culture at Sara Lee.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think that they made a conscious effort to make sure that the customer was a priority. And I think that's one thing that we all know is if we don't have customers, we're out of business. So we had buy-in from all levels, and we rolled out a strategic partnership plan. I think they called it a strategic alliance plan, and made sure that we told our clients that they were a strategic alliance for us. And it made them feel that they were the only customers that we had, those strategic alliances. And I think if they knew that we treated the clients extremely well, then our hope was that they wouldn't go to any of our competition. So that was a big part of what was ingrained into our, culture there.
Okay.
So so obviously there's lots of aspects of a client service culture that you probably experienced in your time there. What would you say are some of the things that translate into the AEC industry And then maybe what are some of those things that don't necessarily translate, that wouldn't necessarily apply?
Right. Well, I think the major thing is that, from with Sara Lee, they're selling an object, but with in the AEC world and with the architectural firm I work with, we're selling a service. So that said, you might not get the immediate gratification that one would get with, say, getting a pie right away after you purchase it. In our world, it's a little different because the benefits come in the end. I think it's just, while that is a little tricky, because I don't think our society is great at being very patient when they pay for things, although they don't pay for it ahead of time anyway. So I just think that there's some things that are very smooth and then or translate nicely, and then other areas that maybe don't. One of the areas that I think translates nicely is just being able to talk to the clients a little more and get a feel for what they're looking for from us. We came up with a plan and we spoke to our clients at all levels and allowed everyone to get in on that plan. We had, like I said, buy-in from everyone. We rolled out that plan. Everybody understood it. And the bottom line is we put it in writing. And I think that's something so many forget to do.
Are there any pieces that necessarily wouldn't apply, or other things that you think would be nice things that could apply that just haven't really resonated?
Well, I think one of the things that is important that we did at Sara Lee is our focus groups, and I think that we may not call it the same in the AEC world, but I certainly think it's something that translates nicely and needs to be done more often. Those focus groups can really open the doors to a lot of information, and it's a great way to get to know your clients on a whole new level. Treating them with respect and trying to understand where they're at, where our I would say, I'm blanking on a word here, but where our strengths and weaknesses are is beneficial.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We probably have semblances of focus groups throughout the industry. I mean, you see them maybe in some associations and whatnot. But yeah, probably I could definitely see a time when we could have a dedicated group of clients that you're getting together and all talking about their experiences.
Yeah. And I would even say, particularly in when you're talking about internal clients, I've worked with a couple of firms that, in addition to that external view of the world, they've also conducted what they, in one instance, did call a focus group with representatives from the different communities within the firm of their employees as they develop that strategic plan. So, and that was really my first experience in this industry of someone saying, hey, let's do something similar to a focus group. And I thought it was very insightful because you got that entire look at from an employee standpoint, what could make a great place to work and be that would then allow you to have that external, manifestation of that culture.
That's a great idea to do it internally and externally. It really is.
So as a 15-year veteran, you're, plus years in your AEC journey, how have you integrated client service into the firms where you've worked with what you learned and were exposed to at Sara Lee?
Honestly, I think that the bottom line is trying to be yourself, talking to the clients and offering them things that are beneficial to them. And I've tried very hard, whether it be with, a potential grant or some other things to help them. And in many instances, that's really been very, very beneficial.
Very good.
Fantastic. What so what advice, if you know, if you could talk to somebody else in the industry that's looking to start a client service initiative, I know there's a number of them are starting to think about it, or at least talking about it. What advice would you give them to really promote that through their firm?
You know, I would probably say make sure that you're defining your clients, understanding who they are and what they think your strengths and weaknesses are. You know, coming up with that plan. And I love your idea, Donna, about asking internally and externally from that perspective. So coming up with a plan, speaking to the clients at all levels, and allowing even the marketing person, you know, to get involved, getting a seat at the table. I think it's critical. And roll that plan out to the whole firm, I would say. And then lastly, just make sure you're putting it in writing so that you can reflect back on it, look back on those goals that you've set for yourself to see if those KPIs are being met, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you got to have a roadmap, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and if you write it down, and like you said, and you kind of track, it's a great opportunity to say, you know, what went well, to evaluate and refocus and refine, because you're not going to get it completely right the first time, or either second or third time. So it's all about that continuous improvement as well. So, you know,
and not to be afraid of that.
Exactly.
Of learning something new.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Jennifer, I thank you for jumping on with us today. It was love the outside perspective. You know, a lot of the folks we've talked to so far have had all, you know, industry experience, and so bringing something different to the table is fantastic. So thank you for your time and your thoughts. And yes, for those of you watching, be sure to stay tuned for the next episodes of the Client Service Conversations. And we'll, as always, if you have suggestions on other people for us to talk to, or things you want us to be asking our guest, please reach out to Donna and I. And with that, we'll see you all later. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.